Yo, it's about to go down. I said, yo, it's about to go down. Yo, it's about to go down. I said, yo, it's about to go down.
What's going on? What's going on? Sorry about that, guys. Welcome to another edition of Kidney Disease Education Moment. I am your host, Steve Belcher. Let me tell you something. Technology can either be a good thing or a bad thing. And today was being a little bad, but I'm here. We're ready to get this show started. Look, please share this broadcast. I can't tell you enough. Please share this broadcast. Today's show is on informed consent for hemodialysis, right? How many, each person who's watching this show, and welcome to our YouTube followers if you're watching. But look, if you're on outpatient hemodialysis, you filled out or signed an informed consent for hemodialysis. It looks something like this, right? I know you have. I know some warriors seen that, just signed it and put it away because you was feeling so bad that you didn't want to read anything. You just wanted to get on dialysis because it may be anxiety, whatever the case, but you didn't have time or, to read it. I mean, some warriors I know may have went through and read it, but I know a lot of warriors who don't go through and read the consent form for hemodialysis. And this is very important to know what you are signing. To know what you are signing. Because there's some things that may take place that you may not even know about that's happening to you that's mentioned in the informed consent. Share this broadcast, guys, seriously, because I know there's people that's going to be starting hemodialysis soon, who've already started it, who's been on maybe a week, a month. The statistics says it all. And so when you do start outpatient hemodialysis, everybody has to fill out a consent form. You have to sign one to get treatment. Some people, again, read this form through and through. They're looking at it, they're analyzing it, they're picking it apart. Some people get it, they sign it, and they put it away and don't even read it. They just sign the forms. Yes, that happens. So I'm going to break down, right? I'm going to break down as if I was explaining this to a patient who just started dialysis. Maybe say a patient who can't see, who has impaired vision, right? Maybe a patient just started. She got diabetes. She's there with her family member, or maybe by herself. Very new to this. Very new to this. First day at the unit. I gotta read this. This is a must. I can't do dialysis until you. We can't do it until you sign this paper. So you come in, you're sitting down, and so, going over the information. So, okay, Mrs. Smith, I need to go over the informed consent for hemodialysis. So she can't see it, or, vision impaired. So I start off, it says I, and then name of patient, Louise Smith. I, Louise Smith, have been informed that my kidneys are not functioning and that I need hemodialysis to sustain my life. I understand that while hemodialysis is a life-sustaining procedure, it is not a cure for kidney failure. Now, these forms are generalized, and this is just one particular form from the hospital where I used to work at. Then it goes on to say, the procedure necessary to treat my condition has been explained to me by my physician, and I understand the nature of the procedure to be as follows. Now, look, how many people had their physician explain this procedure to them? You go in a hospital, you're diagnosed, they put you on dialysis. The doctor may come and explain everything to you, what's happening. He may not. And you're left to like, what's going on? All I know is I'm on dialysis. Well, I'm about to explain the procedure to be as follows. Hemodialysis will clean my blood by pumping it through a device that will remove waste and excess fluid. This is that device that they're talking about. This is a device, the artificial kidney. I understand that hemodialysis involves, among other things, the insertion of tubes and or needles into my veins or fistula, or through a catheter, and the use of artificial kidney to filter my blood. I also understand that along with the hemodialysis treatment, I may need laboratory tests, radiology, and surgical procedures to assure adequate function of the equipment and effectiveness of the treatment. Now, let's break this down. It says, I also understand that along with the hemo treatment, I may need laboratory tests, radiology, and surgical procedures. Do you follow me? Where one may have signed this form and didn't actually break it down and read it, it's 2 or 3 months later and your access is acting up. You need a radiology or a surgical procedure, right? A lot of people would miss that. So if you know this when you're filling out this form, well, when you're signing it, then you know that that could happen. Let me read it again. I also understand that along with the hemodialysis treatment, I may need laboratory tests, radiology, and surgical procedures to ensure adequate function of the equipment which is in your arm and effectiveness of the treatment. It goes on in the consent form to say, I have been informed that the following risk. Let me repeat that. I have been informed that the following risk, that's with an S, are associated with hemodialysis, and that while such risks with an S are not common, one or more can. Let me repeat that. One or more can occur and be potentially life-threatening. Now, do you understand? I'm not playing nobody for any fools or trying to insult anyone's intelligence. But do you understand what I just read? And if you started dialysis, did you read that or did you see that in the consent form? Did your family member point that out? Did the nurse point that out? Or did they just hand you the form, ask you to look at it? You may or may not have pretended that you knew what you was reading, and that's okay. You may have looked at it, right? And signed it. But do you really know? Do you really know what you signed? That is the $1 million question. And I got this highlighted. It may not show because of the green screen, but where you see the blanks right here, that's highlighted. It says, now, do you understand? I also understand that along with the hemodialysis treatment, I may need laboratory tests, radiology, and surgical procedures to assure adequate function of the equipment and effectiveness of your treatment. Then it goes on to say, I have been informed. Have you really been informed? Really? Ask yourself, have you been informed that the following risks are associated with hemodialysis, and that while such risks, that's with an S, are not common, one or more. One or more. It just takes one to kill you. Can occur and be potentially, look that word up. It's a potential. Could be life-threatening. That's why we advocate to mind what's going on with your treatment, because again, it says it in the consent form that one or more, and I'm going to read these risks. One or more of these risks can be potentially life-threatening. That's why we advocate for you to be your own advocate, because something like this could be life-threatening. Damn the coronavirus. If it's not in your unit, that's your least to worry about. You're going to worry about one of these risks that I'm about to read. That's what you need to be worried about, because it could be potentially life-threatening. Now, let me read these risks that are not common. However, one or more, not half of one, but one or more. It just takes one, just one, to occur and be potentially life-threatening. That new technician or new nurse that they just throw out on the floor because they're short of staff and don't know really anything. That could be potentially life-threatening. Now, let me read these risks, if you didn't know, that can cause a potential risk that can end your life. Bacterial and or viral, IG, hepatitis B or C, contamination of my blood, which may cause infection or bacterial infection of the blood called sepsis. How many warriors who's been on dialysis, veterans, experience sepsis, infection of your bloodstream? You're sitting on the machine. All of a sudden, you're shivering, right? You're shivering. You got the blanket all the way up to here, right? You got a catheter. You got one of these, right? Got one of these. You just started dialysis. No one gave you any information or education about your catheter. You're 3-4 weeks in, a month and a half. No one said jack to you how to care for it or anything. Next thing you know, you're in the chair at dialysis, right? You're in the chair, you're dialyzing, you're watching TV, right? You're watching TV, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're starting to shiver, right? You're starting to have rigors, right? Shivering. And you're wondering, what the hell is going on? You asking for 3-4 blankets You're trying to, like, what is going on? What is going on? Well, the bacterial contamination of your blood, which may cause infection or bacterial infection of the blood, right, called sepsis. That's why the education is important. On to the next risk. Bleeding due to clotting problems or disconnection of blood tubing. You may say, Steve, what are you talking about? Disconnection of the blood tubing. Steve, how can that happen, Steve? Let me show you how it can happen. Here go the blood tubing, right? I just got it wrapped up. And here go the needle, right? Here go the needle. Now, here you see this connection? What if the technician or nurse is rushing? It's rushing and don't connect this real tight. And you by chance snag on the line or make a movement where you're reaching in your bag for something or you're scratching or whatever, and it come loose. Boom! The blood from the arterial, right? It's pulling out. It's separated. It's a bloodbath. I've seen it happen. That's what they mean by disconnection of blood tubing. Another risk, destruction or the breakdown of red blood cells, known as hemolysis. What if the bath is too warm or too hot? What if someone like, what was her name? I can't think of the lady's name in Texas who put bleach in people's machine. Bleach caused hemolysis, the breakdown of red blood cells, the destruction of it. That can happen to you. What if somebody bleached the tank? See, let me tell you something. If you're watching this and you go to outpatient dialysis, this is something that you don't know. Then I'm going to break it down to you right now. In the back where you don't see because you're out getting your treatment, in the water room where they make the bicarbonate and they make the acid, they have to clean those tanks that they make that stuff in. They mix the powder in, right? 100-gallon tank, 200-gallon tank, right? They mix that powder, they put the RO water in, and then that mixture, the bicarbonate, is sent out to the floor by PVC piping to each machine. And you see where we pull out the plugs out the machines and put them in the wall. That's how the acid in the bicarb comes into the machine. And that's how the bath is mixed in this filter, right? However, something you warriors don't know unless you worked in the field. They have to clean those tanks. It's the procedure. It's called disinfecting the bicarbonate tank. You had to put so much bleach, per parts water. And once you do the mixture and do what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to keep refilling the tank until there's no indication of bleach by using a strip. Open a little spigot and any more bleach. What if somebody doesn't do that? To err is human. What if somebody worked a long day, bleached the tank, and forgot to check it to see if it was present of bleach? And then a person that comes in the morning makes the bicarb without checking the tank for the presence of bleach. Now what happens? That bleach is sent to the floor, right, with that bicarb mixture. And guess what can happen? Hemolysis, which can cause anemia, which I did a show on last night. You don't think this can happen? It has. Even if nurses or the tech, each morning they also check for the presence of chlorine and chloramine in the back. That's the city water that goes through the equipment. We showed you, we post the equipment of the RO machine and the softeners, right? To nurse every 4 hours, at least every 4 hours, a nurse has to go down and check the water for chlorine and chloramine. How many of you do outpatient? They say, oh, the nurse got to go check the water before we put you on. That's what that means. We got to go down and check it for chlorine or chloramine. And if that's not checked, or if it's a breakthrough, yes, a breakthrough through the carbon tanks, that can get to the patients and cause this hemolysis, which is the destruction or breakdown of red blood cells, which in turn can cause anemia and cause death. Let me move on. Eternal bleeding or bleeding from the access. Yes, how many warriors had this put in when they first started and they kept bleeding after they put it in? They had to keep packing the site to stop the bleeding. I know it's happened because I experienced it doing it for other patients, trying to stop the bleeding after the insertion of a catheter. Or even one of these, the IJ, which goes on the side of your neck. Or how many warriors bled around your needle site after they put the needle in? Oozing around this part right here. The hub, right? Oozing around that. How many warriors experienced that? And they had to keep changing the 2x2 and put it up under there tight to stop it from oozing around there. Give me a thumbs up if you experienced that. This is another risk. Infection of my access site. Catheter or fistula infections. How many warriors experience access site infections with your catheter or fistula? How many times this had to be pulled out and switched from your right side to your left side, back from your left side to your right side? How many people experience that? Another thing you have to think about, introduction of air. That's right. Introduction of air into your bloodstream. Now, you can reach out to kidney warrior Donnell Carley. Brother Donnell, out of Thomasville, Georgia. God bless you, brother. 3 transplants. And you know what? He experienced introduction of air into his system because someone wasn't paying attention to what they were doing and sent him home. The guy literally was having a stroke. But look, this is another way. Let me show you another way how air, which you're not even thinking about at dialysis, right? You're not thinking about this because you're there getting your treatment. So look, this right here, this is the venous chamber, right, of the return line. This is the venous chamber. And you know, when it's in the machine, it's in what's called an air detector. An air detector. What that means, it detects air, right? Because this right here, this can drop. This can drop. If someone opens this cap and do that, right, either blood can spurt out, or if the saline bag, you know that bag that hangs up that they give you if you start cramping, the saline, the normal saline? Well, if someone's not paying attention and they giving you saline for cramping and they walk away because someone else called them and they forgot to unclamp the line to clamp it, that bag can go dry. And if this is not in the air detector, guess what? The pump is still spinning. It's pulling out the air because the bag is empty. This is not in the alarm, so it could clamp the line to stop it because it detected air. Guess who's getting that air? Guess who's getting that air? You. And that is an emergency because they got to flip you on your side, your left side, and put you in the Trendelenburg position. The Trendelenburg is going down like that, so we can trap that air. This stuff has happened. That's why they talk about it in this consent form, because it has happened. Another risk, shock or cardiac arrest. Shock or cardiac arrest. Did you know that? Another risk, allergic and toxic reactions to drugs, solutions, artificial kidneys, right? Allergic and toxic reactions to drugs, solutions, artificial kidneys, or other equipment used during the hemodialysis treatment. How many warriors knew that? Please don't be ashamed to say if you didn't know, because that's why this show is here. Clotting of my access or infiltration of my access site. How many warriors had a infiltration in your arm where somebody stuck this needle and went through your access, clean through the other side, and caused you to swell up? I know it's happened because I infiltrated someone before. That's what they're talking about. How many warriors access clotted? I know it's happened because I've written hundreds of schedule sheets into the access center to get a fistula with angioplasty. So, but how many warriors knew this? And the consent form goes on to say, I have also been informed that there may be some side effects associated with hemodialysis related to fluid and chemical changes during or after the hemodialysis treatment. How many of you knew that? Like, when you started dialysis, did they tell you that it's a possibility when you leave dialysis that maybe tonight you may experience some cramping in the bed while you're sleeping, or it may wake you up? How many people were told that the first day? That's what this consent form says, that you were informed that day when you signed this paper that there may be some side effects associated with hemodialysis related to fluid and chemical changes during or after the hemodialysis treatment. After could be in the clinic or at home, where a lot of people experience this. Did they tell you that some of the side effects are osteoporosis, electrolyte imbalance, headache, nausea, dizziness, fainting, irregular heartbeat, decrease in blood pressure, muscle cramping, and mild confusion? How many warriors who have started dialysis knew this after they signed their consent form? If you didn't know, it's okay. Give me a thumbs up if you recognize or didn't recognize or even knew about what I'm reading to you in your consent form. Because what they try to do is just give it to you so you can sign it so you can start the treatment. Some places go through it step by step, but the majority don't. Also, have you been informed that the hemodialysis procedure and the alternatives to hemodialysis have been explained to me? I understand the alternatives to hemodialysis to be peritoneal dialysis or transplantation, and that I may be evaluated for either whenever I choose. Holy moly. How many warriors started dialysis? Let me read this again, and then I want to pose this question to you. The hemodialysis procedure and the alternatives to hemodialysis have been explained to me. I understand the alternatives to hemodialysis to be peritoneal dialysis or transplantation, and that I may be evaluated for either whenever I choose. Now, my question is, how many warriors, and we have many on our show that said they didn't know about home dialysis. They didn't know about PD, or they never heard about transplant, but yet you put your John Hancock right on that form and told them that you were informed of it. This is considered a legal document. So even though you were never told about alternative treatments, you signed a document that said that you were informed. So that signature, it's a done deal. There's nothing you can do. No suing. No, they this, they that. You signed the form that said they informed you, and they didn't. And it says that I may be evaluated for either whenever you choose. But if you didn't read this form, how would you have known that? How would you have known that whenever you choose to be evaluated for a transplant or home dialysis, you can do it? Damn the physician. Whenever, it says it, whenever I choose, I, not the damn nephrologist, I. It also goes on to say, I understand that it will be necessary for me to follow certain dietary restrictions. It will be my responsibility to follow these dietary restrictions, and failure to do so. Listen to this, because it's in the writing. Failure to do so can cause bone disease, calcification of my heart, blood vessels and skin, heart failure, and even sudden death. Sudden death. It's telling you in the form. So that means if you go out and you're eating a lot of food in high potassium, we know without a doubt too much potassium can cause a cardiac arrest. In addition, I understand that it would be my responsibility, not the units, my responsibility to take my medication as prescribed by my physician, like your Foslow, with meals. The success of hemodialysis also depends upon my agreeing, listen to this, to remain on the machine for the prescribed length of time so that my blood can be adequately cleansed. Let me repeat that. The success of hemodialysis also depends upon my agreeing. So when you sign this form, you are agreeing. You are agreeing to remain on the machine for the prescribed time so that your blood can be cleaned adequately. And as the form goes, page, it says, I will immediately, not tomorrow, not 3 weeks, immediately notify my physician of any adverse reactions or problems I may have with regard to these hemodialysis treatments. Now, let me break this down to you guys. Let me break this down to you so you can look at this from a different perspective and why you have to be your own health advocate. It says, again, I repeat, I will immediately notify my physician of any adverse reactions or problems that I may have with regard to these hemodialysis treatments. Now, how many warriors, and I know this has happened because I seen a post the other day that I responded to of someone that just started dialysis, 2 treatments, same machine, had machine problems, had to discontinue the treatment early because put on the same machine. So they didn't get their full dialysis treatment. My first question was, did you tell your nephrologist? Nope. Listen, again, here are the following risks that are associated with hemodialysis. And that while such risks are not common, one or more can occur and be potentially life-threatening. Again, allergic and toxic reactions to drugs, solutions, artificial kidneys, or other equipment used during the hemodialysis treatment. Or what about your blood clotted the machine and they had to stop your treatment? Why did the blood clot? That's not supposed to happen. Did you tell your nephrologist? What if this is a pattern that's going on? Do he know about it? So again, any little thing that affects your treatment, that delays your treatment, that causes you to stop treatment early, anything that affects your treatment, you immediately notify your kidney doctor. I don't care if you got to call his office and leave several messages. You immediately call this guy or lady and let them know the machine broke down. My blood clotted in the machine. I lost my blood. My arm got infiltrated. My catheter was left open. Whatever, you make sure you notify these guys immediately. Then it goes on to say, I authorize repeated hemodialysis treatment unless I specifically revoke this consent. So you can revoke the consent and come off of dialysis if you want. Deal with it no more. If you don't want dialysis no more and you're in your right sound of mind, that is your side. You can revoke that consent and leave dialysis. This consent will be renewed on or about an annual basis. Then it says, this is the important part. I have read this consent and fully understand its contents. Do you really and fully understand? Do you really? I have had a chance to have my questions answered. Did you really ask those questions questions that were deep inside, but you feel like you don't want to look stupid, or you didn't want to ask the question? Have you had have your questions answered in words you can understand? Because that's what it says. I have had a chance to have my questions answered in words I can understand. I hereby execute this consent form freely and with full acceptance and know of the contents in it. Do you really know? I also understand that this is a legal document. It's a legal document. Then it has a line for patient or legal authorized representative, a physician signature, and a witness signature. Now, the physician is signing it. He acknowledging that you understand all this. The witness is also doing that, and you're doing it. But do you really understand? Do you really? And there's patient's rights, responsibility, and facility rules. Now, I'm not going to go over that today because it's a lot. But this also comes with the consent packet. So this has been, to me, an awesome broadcast. I feel like I went through this consent form and picked it apart to try to get you to understand what you signed when you started dialysis. This is what you signed, whether you understood it or not. You said you did by putting your John Hancock on the line. Whether you understand it or not, that's what you told them. So with that being said, let me check out the comments and address them before I end the broadcast. Thank you guys for watching. Share this broadcast. The name of this broadcast was Informed Consent for Hemodialysis. Want to welcome to our global supporters that may be watching. Let me address the comments and see what's going on. Oh, okay. You got Miss Kathy. Hey, Miss Kathy. Hey, Lena. Hey, Leslie. Oh, hey, Miss Kathy. Thanks for addressing the audience. Yep. Hey, guys. Miss Lena, I wish you were my nurse. Shit, I'm claiming you. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, Miss Lena, where to reach out to me at. If you need any questions or I can help you, you know, you have my number. All you got to do is just reach out to me. Yeah, they don't. That's what I'm saying. With these consent forms. Now check this out. Have anybody experienced this? When you first started dialysis, you were on the late shift and you may have been just a little bit late, maybe 15 minutes, a half an hour. Say they wanted you there at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and you end up getting there maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock, right? And they just kind of like shove this down your throat, say, we could get you to sign it and make copies where you could take it home and read it at your convenience. And they get you to sign. You may be 4 hours. Then you don't get your whole 4 hours because you got there late. And none of this was even explained to you. I know this happened because shamefully, I was put in position to do something like that. And I'm not proud of it working for these big, when I worked for these big DaVita companies before I done this, working for the Lord and being a servant. I didn't break down these consent forms that I wanted to get the patient on, get them to sign it, make a copy, give it to you so you can read it at home, not even at that time understanding if you actually read through this to really understand what you were signing. That's why I do what I do, because of my past working with these big companies and being put in these positions, not knowing. I was ignorant. But once I found out and knew, I changed it all around. So yes, please, this consent form, again, is very important that you go back, read it, break it down into small pieces. And if you don't understand it, reach out to me. You read it to me, the part you don't understand, and I'll break it down into simple terms or language that hopefully you can understand and get a real meaning to what's going on. Yeah, Miss Lena says she didn't read it, nor did the nurse say anything. They're not going. A lot of them not going to say anything because they want to get that over with and get you on the machine and get home. You know, that's the truth, especially if it's late. Hey, Leslie. Hey, Miss Lena. You're welcome. You're welcome. You said I had 7 of them. You had 7 of what, Miss Lena? If you're still on. Hey, but yeah, guys. So this is the type of stuff we're going to be doing, the education. We just need the people to share and come. Again, 3 people. I think I got up to maybe 10 or something, but that's just to show you that it's thousands of people about to start dialysis, right? They need to know this information before they walk in the unit. Excuse me. Wow. Excuse me. Damn tea went. Wow. Excuse me. That was funny. But the tea went down the wrong windpipe. Wow. First one on broadcast. But I can laugh at myself. I can tell you, when I first started, and if that would have happened, I would have been seriously embarrassed and probably would have ended the broadcast. But man, I got to learn how to laugh at myself. To air is human. And if you can't laugh at yourself and, you know, throughout your mistakes or whatever, like I did, like cough doing that, hey, but look, we're going to continue to come with education material that is near and dear to you. We're going to do shows such as lupus and kidney disease, Alport disease, and other comorbidities that may have caused someone's kidney failures other than diabetes or hypertension. So be on the lookout. Tonight, 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Warriors Quest with Jared A. Brown. His co-host is going to be Audrey Bella Langston. So this is going to be an awesome show. Tune in tonight, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time to 9:30 p.m. I hope you enjoyed this special edition of Kidney Disease Education Moment. I am your host, Steve Belcher. Until next time, God bless you and stay safe. Peace, everyone.
Y'all, it's about to go down. I said y'all, it's about to go down.